All right, do it for this. Hey, welcome to W Tiny House USA, with the top 10 tiny hits around the world. We're down to our last 4 contestants on Let's Date a Tiny Houser. We've got Tiny House Set number 1, Tiny House Set number 2, Tiny House Set number 3, and her. And or build and or live in their tiny homes. No YouTube hacks here. No, I read it on Pinterest. This is the real deal, folks, that are all going to be speaking. So the way it's going to work is this. Y'all just introduce yourselves. You know, I'm Beetlebop Cornelius. I live in the Vampire of Fire bus. I've been living in my bus for, including today, about 6 hours. I didn't build it. I found it at a rummage sale, and it was, just that type of thing. And then just take questions from the audience, folks who have questions about what you're doing. And you're videotaping this. Gosh, you are such a...
Hello, my name is Emily Anderson, and I live in the Arbor Season bus over there. It's a converted school bus. I live there with my husband and my 2 kids, and we built it out ourselves with a little help from our friends. And we've been living in it for 2 years this July.
Hi, I'm KRYSTLE Lopez, and I live part-time with my husband and 2 dogs, and sometimes stepson, in the teal with the wood grain stripe bus named Lola. We are Lopez around the world on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, because my husband just needed to have all those things, and I am the shy one, but since it is an all-female cast today, I am the talker. I talk too much when I'm nervous. We don't live full-time in our bus because he had so much fun building the first one that now we founded a bus building and van building and RV renovation company. So we do that, and then we travel in between projects. So we're getting the best of both worlds, and we're having a lot of fun doing it.
Hi everyone, my name is Melanie. My husband and I live in Serenitas. She's a tiny house on wheels. She is not here. She's 8 by 18 and 144 square feet. We have been tiny for a little over almost 4.5 years. We went from illegal to legal landowners, where we are considered a dwelling on our property. And we're not going back to a big house. We love it.
Once you go tiny, Hey everyone, my name is Eva, and I live in the little green shorty in the front with my husband Michael. We've been in it for 5 years full time and been loving it, and definitely, like I said, don't really want to go back to big. Yeah. Maybe eventually put some land and have more tiny homes, but definitely tinies. I really like the idea of not having too much space, so you can't accumulate so much. So you keep it essentials. You keep no clutter in the house, no clutter in the brain. So yeah, I really love it. And it's just getting easier and easier. My experience, because you find your ways of like where to get water, where to get this. Like in the beginning, we were like, I talk a lot too. Like, I'm already starting with the whole. But yeah, it's just getting more fun and more easier the longer you get into it, because you get more luxuries and more, an awning for shade, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, loving it, and happy to be here with all the other tinies and new tinies. And so excited.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I first like to say, Jonathan, thank you for having me. This is my first year coming down here to the Tiny House Festival, and I've been so blessed and so warm welcomed by a lot of people. Thank you. I first have to say my house is the pink house. So as you see, I love pink. Pink is my signature color, pink passion. I'm an interior designer. I have an architectural drafting design degree. I always had a passion for design. I love it. I love fashion and interior design, so I more went with the interior design because I like to leave my mark
everywhere.
This is my mobile interior design office. So I decided to do it mobile so I can travel and not be just limited to work and design in Georgia. I can travel anywhere. So that's why I did it. And pink is my signature color, but I know if somebody wants me to design, it'll be whatever to their liking. And I also sell furniture on my website, and I appreciate you guys inviting me here.
If you have any questions or something you'd like to ask of the folks of the panel, just go ahead and do so. I'm going to start off with a question, serious question. 99.9% of the bus conversions that I see, the bedroom's always in the back. Is this something like, hey, we want it in the back, or hey, that's how you do it? Or what was there a conscious decision in putting your bedroom in the far back instead of somewhere else? Sidebar, Finn doesn't want to put the bed in the back of the bus.
Oh, so am I here to convince your wife to do something? I can't promise that's what's going to happen, but it was a conscious decision for us, mostly because I really wanted like wall-to-wall mattress. I like to have a big bed, and especially with having little kids, I have a baby, and I was like, I know she's going to be sleeping in our bed, and I don't want to worry about her rolling off on either side. And I was like, if we put it in the back, then we can have wall-to-wall mattress. And it's just kind of like separate from everything else. So you have more of like your own private space back there. So like when our baby is taking a nap in our bed, then people can hang out in the living room and make a bunch of noise and come in and out, and there's like no disturbance back there whatsoever. Plus, you get more windows because you have them on the side and you have the back windows on the bus. So when you open the curtains, it's just beautiful. You get a gorgeous view in the morning. So that was why we chose to put our bedroom in the back.
Ours was also conscious for some of the similar reasons, but we also have an engine bay section. So in a city bus, if you think of what a city bus looks like, you have the rows on either side, and then the whole way of the back is a row of seats. They put those seats there because that is a box where the engine bay is. So once we took all of the seats out, we have this engine bay box, and really it takes up a lot of space. And so we did want our bed in the back anyways, but it was perfect really to set the bed platform on, and then our bed tilts up. And so the rest of all of that space is storage. And then just for privacy, like we didn't want, when guests come in, we wanted them to be able to access the bathroom and just access anything else that we want to share with them. But then, if somebody wanted to go to bed early, or if someone wasn't feeling well, or we just have that option for privacy.
Like the other lady said, same. Yeah, if you go into the bus, you don't want to go straight into the bed. And yeah, the windows for sure. I love waking up next to the window with the sunrise. And sometimes we park it straight because then I know the sunrise is going to go here. So let's park it this way so the sun comes up here. Also, a nice tip is I got yellow curtains. I recently swapped out the curtains for sun color. So when the sun comes up, even if it's cloudy, it looks sunny. Yeah, it's really nice. It wakes up good.
Any questions, or we'll open up for karaoke if you have no questions. No. Okay. Oh, you have a question? Or you want to sing a song?
Question,
Okay.
question, trust me. I am of a higher age than most people who are just looking into or that seem to be doing tiny house living, and not being. I don't have my things are not online, like banking and insurance, all that. So I guess my question is that the way to go when you're living tiny, that you almost have to have everything online? Because right now, the thought of giving up my desk with my desk drawers full of file folders is overwhelming to me. Like, how would I do it? Okay.
So if you, I'm gonna repeat. So she has a lot of like old-fashioned like filing systems for like banking and stuff like that, and it's hard to think about giving that up when you've been doing that way your whole life. So wanting to live on the road, is that the only way to go, or like do you have to go? Sorry, is going online the only way to go, or is there a way to keep some of the stuff like more old-fashioned with like a filing system in her desk? I will say, like, I get my mail delivered to my parents or my friends' houses, and then I just have them send me like the mail that I need. But most of the stuff that we do is online, and then we use a really big chain for our bank so that we can go to the bank like in any part of the country pretty much. Like if you go to Bank of America or Chase, you can pretty much find one in any city. So you could do that, but I think they're or PO box. That's another way.
Hi, ma'am. for like your business and stuff, because like I said, I have an architectural graphic design degree. So if you wanted to go mobile, you can design it to where, you know, it'll be like your office space. But as far as receiving mail, besides going to somebody's residence, you could do a P.O. box, you know, and then all your mail can go to that P.O. box and you just check your mail, you know, frequently.
But not to belabor a point, but if you have a mailbox in X state and you're
You have a
5 states away, then how do you handle the day-to-day dealing with mail that you don't have in your hands?
Yeah, there's a paid system. Now, I don't have the name of it or the price, but there's a service that you send all of your mail to that. Instead of sending it to a P.O. box, you send it to this company. They open all your mail, obviously with your permission. They scan everything for you, and then it just goes right. So it is digital, but they take care of all the tech stuff for you.
Okay.
It could come right to your phone if you wanted.
I didn't know about that.
Yes.
Sending my mail to my parents' house.
And then I don't know if this was another one of your questions. If you actually like having your physical papers and your physical filing system, you don't have to get rid of that. As Carla said, you know, you can design anything you want, and so as builders, our passion is really to bring as much function as well as beauty into our builds, because it can be Pinterest and Instagram worthy, but if it doesn't make sense for you and your life, then what good is it, right? And so also, like, as an occupational therapist, I love just making everything functional, because OTs, our job is to make everybody's life easier in the occupations that are meaningful to them. So if your filing system brings you joy and it keeps, mental peace for you, then we figure out how to fit that in and make it beautiful so it's not an eyesore, and make it accessible so you don't have to lift up your bed and then move 5 things to get to your filing cabinet. So you can see in our bus we have a bathtub and a queen bed and 2 bunk beds and a full washer dryer. Yes, because we wanted those things, but that's what was valuable to us and for our lifestyle in the moment. So you could easily take those things out, swap them with something else, rearrange the layout and the design. And so that's what I love about bus building, is because every single person gets to have whatever is important to them, whatever brings their life joy and value, and we'll just help you conceptualize it and design it, and then use Carla for all the colors and furniture. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right?
So I was going to respond because the first year we lived in our tiny house, we lived in a backyard, and it wasn't our home, so we didn't really want to use our host's address for a lot of stuff. We did have a P.O. box, but what I did was I used like bill pay with my bank, and I took and opened an email that was just for bills. And then I went to all of my, my cell phone company, and I said, email my bill to this bill email. And 4.5 years later, we still have that email that's set up just for bills, and every month those come. My insurance bill comes right to my email. I can print it out from there. I get the notifications, but they don't come to my personal, so I'm not bombarded with bills until we're ready to pay them. Or miss them, right, because they're coming right into my inbox so that I can see what's due and when it's due. We have very little mail that actually comes to our house, even though we do have a mailbox and we are a dwelling. We just have not switched off of that system. So regardless of where you travel, if you have a dedicated email, that may help you. We actually do have like an Excel file where we keep track of all of our bills on an Excel file that's not on the internet. So we can track our bills even without internet as kind of like a filing system. And for our taxes, we keep a little, one of those expandable folders. And I have 7 years of taxes, and when I do my new ones, I toss the old ones and just move them down and keep my paperwork that way with the important paperwork in the tiny house. So very minimal, but very easy to handle, even if you don't want to have a P.O. box or a dedicated place to send in, like email to. Your bills can be forwarded to email.
I guess I was wondering what made you guys choose like the different types of homes that you guys have, like the tiny house meal versus like the bus or something like that.
So different reasons for why we chose what we chose.
Come with me.
Hello, everybody. I'm Carla. you. Like I said, I'm an interior designer. I have an architectural background degree, and I decided to go pink. And it's my mobile office. I can travel also, travel trailer. I don't know if anybody has got the chance to look inside. I'll let them look, but they asked me to speak, and I'm honored. So, anybody that's decided to do designing as residential, commercial, or going tiny, I can do your floor plan for you. I'll be happy. And I also sell furniture on my website, or I can look for something that is for your liking. So, I'm going to pass the mic to my fellow person.
Tiny house person. All right. So we have a tiny house on wheels. It's a stick built, just like the pink one over here that she's talking about. We chose an actual tiny house on wheels structure for multiple reasons, but the first one was the height. So you get 13 feet 6 inches. So when we walk in, we're not. My husband's 6'1". Like, we're not going to want to be in a small space. We could have done a Skoolie bus lift. There were other options like that, but we really didn't want anything that was attached to an engine, because if the engine failed, then our home is going to be at the mechanics with us in it. So we were like, all right. We also didn't want a full-time travel in it, because we're not to the point of retirement. We have jobs and we wanted a homestead. So we got something that we could pull with any vehicle, truck, tow truck down the road. So we didn't have to pay for the expense of a truck, and we didn't have to have an engine attached to our home. And the other thing was, we could fully build it from the sticks to the roof. We know every inch of that home. We put in all the screws. If anything breaks, we know what to tear apart and fix. And that was very important to me, especially as a woman, that I felt confident enough to be able to repair any part of my home, having not had a lot of experience in construction prior to building a tiny house. So that was why we picked the one that we did.
Yeah, I really like, I agree with what you're saying about, because I live in a Skoolie, and what you're saying about having your engine separate of your home is a really good one. I tell some people that are debating what to get, a van or a Skoolie or a trailer, I do say this, if you have a separate of your home, you can just unleash it, go to the mechanic, or you're not stuck on the side of the road. So that's definitely, but we still chose a Skoolie. That was just because it was the dream of my husband. He had this little boy dream to have like a school bus. And it was like, we were like, we came back from a trip where we met in Australia, and we landed back in here, and Mike was like, no house, so he's like, you want to do a Skoolie? And I was like, sure. Sounds cool. So yeah, we just like where I fell in it, and it was only the first school bus we looked at, and we saw it, and we knew it. We were like, this is it. This is it. There was even a bidder higher than us, and he still went with us because we were like, oh my god. So yeah, I definitely like the shorts version for us because we're only 2 people. And it's probably different when you have animals or children. But for 2 people, I thought it was nice because it's just easy to park. We lived in Manhattan for 2 weeks straight in the same spot. Like, that was easy. That's good about being small. So I really like the short bus. But yeah, fell into it. But the van's also good. They're all great. Yeah, whatever floats your boat. Whatever floats
So we lived in an RV for 3 years before we had this Skoolie, and we knew that we wanted to stay on the road, and we had our first child while we were living in that RV, at a hospital though, not in the RV. But we wanted to stay on the road, but RVs, it's really hard to find someone who can do maintenance on it. The parts are expensive, it's a whole thing, and the stuff breaks all the time. My husband's dream for years was to have a Skoolie, and I thought he was completely insane. Yeah, the husband's dream of this. What is it about men and their school buses? I don't know. And quarantine hit, and we were stuck at my sister's house, and we were like, all right, let's just do it, I guess, which was crazy for me to jump into something like that. But we chose that and not having like a fifth wheel or something like that, because although there is the downside of your engine being attached to your home, because that is definitely something to consider. We travel so much. Like, if you're planning on moving a lot, it's easier, I think, to have everything attached together. With having kids, we have 2 kids now. when we're driving and we have a long driving day, I can get up and make them sandwiches while they're in their car seats. I can even do a diaper change while we're driving if we're not like on the highway or something. Like, we're a lot more flexible in that manner. Like, you can just get up and move around a lot and like be in your home. Like, you know, if you hit a really big bump, you can look back and be like, what was that? Oh, it was just that thing, rather than if you're separate and you're like, I don't know what just happened in my home when we hit that bump. So that's definitely a huge benefit. And this is going to sound crazy. You guys are going to think I'm insane. But every time that we've had to take our bus to a mechanic, we kind of liked being able to have our home there, because then we could keep an eye on the mechanics and make sure that they were actually working on our bus. Because that's a bit, because when we're there, like, they know they got to be working on that bus, you know what I'm saying? And they usually will let you plug in for free too, and like they'll let you stay overnight. Like, we've stayed overnight at mechanics before, and they're usually really nice. So we haven't had any issues with that. But definitely Skoolie, they're super sturdy, way sturdier than like RVs, you know. Those are some really big tires. And if you move a lot, then it's like, I mean, if we get in trouble because we're parked somewhere, we don't have to hitch up and go. We just turn it on and drive away. We traveled around for 3 months in Arizona with some friends who have a truck and a camper. And, oh, hey, are you really? What part? Oh, we were there a little bit over the last few months. I love Phoenix. But they were like really hindered by the fact that like they just wanted to stay in one spot for a long time so that they didn't have to hitch and unhitch. And we would just be like, we're just going to take the bus over here today, and then we're going to drive over here, and then we're going to drive over here. And it's just like everything together all in one place. It's like ultimate freedom. And vans are like that too, same kind of deal. But we needed lots of space because of the kids. So.
Okay, well, following the theme here, my husband had a dream. He always wanted to. No, I'm not included in this. He got dragged into it. So he had a dream of building a tiny house, and he wanted to do a shipping container. And then quickly he decided that he didn't want to be stationary, so that evolved into a vehicle of some sort. The Skoolie movement was like, you know, you could see them growing on Instagram. This is probably 2016, 2017. And my husband can't be like anyone else. It has to be unique, like 1,000 yards away from unique. So at the time there were almost, well, to my knowledge, no city buses. So that was that was probably his main reason for choosing a city bus. And then from there, he loved city. We both decided city bus because it's more of a box. And so for us, like, that was just delightful because it was like much easier to build. You didn't have to work around the curved ceilings. Yes.
We're still dealing with that.
Yes. And most city buses have a bigger height clearance, and ours in particular is called a low floor design. And so it's the kind that, you know, it kneels all the way down. So, you know, a person could step up 2 inches from the curb into the city bus. And so we actually raised our floor because we had such a high, floor to ceiling clearance. And my brother is 6'6", and it was really important to me, even though he's like rarely ever in the bus, maybe like once a year. I want everyone to come in and feel comfortable, and so it was really important to me that he could still walk in without having to duck. And even with raising our floor, he can walk in comfortably, which we're really proud of. And so the reason we raised our floor is not for fun, is because our water tanks go horizontal. So, it's a wine cellar, yes. If you've been inside, the middle is wine cellar. It's been nicknamed that. Yes. Man, there were a couple other reasons that I'm blanking, but if I didn't say it yet, the windows was another one, because the windows are so large and nice and big and square. And if you're not doing a roof raise in a school bus, you have to basically kind of crouch over and see outside, and that's totally fine if people are okay with that. We just decided we didn't want to do that, but we were already convinced to do a city bus. It was just like more and more reasons to love our city bus. And I missed one of our favorite reasons is that it has an air ride suspension. So instead of like clunk 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 as you're going down the road, it is a much smoother ride. It is kind of like in a boat. And so it's not perfect, but it is like less goes flying, less falls off the shelves.
We learned a lot.
Yeah.
And there's certain speeds that we're at where literally like we're all sitting in the back and we're just like, yeah. It's like, you should take off your whatever, the thing that makes it go. Yeah, go for that. We're like, no, we're fine.
Yes. Everything needs to be secured. And everything in the bus needs to have a multi-purpose use. If not, it's out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions? Absolutely. Come on over after this is done.
Are all your homes here? Mine is the pink one. Yours is the pink one. Everybody else?
So Carla's is the pink tiny house. Yours, you said, is not here. Ours is the teal city bus. That's the second bus in with the slide outs. I guess everyone knows that. Yours is at the front.
The little green at the entrance. The little green one.
And mine is way back there. It's a blue Arbor season bus. I guess the tree line. So. And it's big.
And if you haven't heard her sing, you're missing out. Yeah. I'm serious.
A karaoke request.
Any other questions?
Yes, being that we have an all-female panel, I've got my wife here that we've been RVing for, I've been in an RV for 5 years. She's been in it for 1 year now. What's been the biggest surprise to the tiny lifestyle that you didn't expect?
I mean, I don't want to sound lame when I say this, but how much you just love it. My husband had to drag me kicking and screaming to live in the RV when he first bought it. We were just dating. We weren't even engaged yet. And I was like, I feel bad for whoever's going to marry him because he's going to live in an RV. I was not about it. I was totally against it. And it ended up being the greatest thing ever. And I mean, we go into people's houses and we play like house concerts and stuff. And I'll be at someone's house and all I can think about when I'm in there is, they just don't need any of this. Like I see all of this stuff and I'm like, I can't even imagine. Like I don't remember what that was like. And you realize that you can do things like raise kids with like this tiny little living space and they're super happy, well-rounded, you know. It's
outside.
Yes, we spend so much time outside and it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. There are definitely hard times, but I still feel like it's so much better than anything else. I can't imagine living in a normal house ever again. I was just surprised by how much I love
For me, being older, my kids are grown and gone. Once I got past getting rid of everything, downsizing, very free.
Yes.
And I love our fifth wheel.
Yeah. That's all.
Everybody asks me, how are you doing it? I said, I can clean that baby in an hour. That's how you do it. And all the, I have a friend that has a new house, and I swear she spends 12 hours a day either in the yard doing something or cleaning the house, and I'm like, I'm done with all of that.
That's
I'm
right.
retired. I don't want to do any of that. So I love it. It's big enough for him and I. Somebody says, well, what if the kids want to visit? I said, there's a hotel right down the street.
Tell them to find their own
There's
bed.
not a room for them, and there's a reason for that.
I would say the best surprise that I learned is the community. And that also sounds like
No, but it's so true. It's so
yeah. And I mean, I'm so sad to say, like, we didn't know. A, we didn't know there was a community. B, when we kind of thought there might be one, we thought like you have to be finished and like traveling in it to be in the community, and that's so not the case. So even if you don't have a bus or a tiny house or a van and you want to be part of the community, just raise your hand because you're in yesterday. And I mean, we've had so many problems along the don't let that scare you, but because of the problems, like I hear a lot of people go RV and then they like, if it's not for them, they're like, this is not for me, I'm never going back. But the bus people just tend to stick with it because of the community. And I mean, we've slept in other people's buses, we've showered in other people's buses, people have fed us because something's not working or something's not finished yet in our build. And it's just such a blessing. And we literally came up from Fort Myers, Florida for this event for friends. Like we're so glad to meet everyone else, but we're like, oh, Arbor Season's gonna be there. Oh, Seeking Discovery's gonna be there. LaCroix Cruiser's gonna be like, you guys are we're going. Like, we can't miss it at all because the community. I could talk for 5 hours on the community, and it's kind of one of those things like you don't really know until you feel it. But again, it's not exclusive to just people with a bus. Like, there's a Facebook group called Skoolie Swarm. and everybody is included, and it's just a family, and everybody's so welcoming.
That is so true.
Yes.
Yeah, so true. That's all this. Yes.
And then I would say the crappiest surprise has to do with the crapper. And then it's probably not what you think. We made a deal that my husband deals with all of that, and that's worked out fabulous. So,
His dream.
yes, his dream. Yes, and he doesn't mind. But the problem we ran into is it's our personal Achilles heel because of where we positioned our toilet. We have a flushing toilet. We did not want to go compost just for us. Compost is great if that's what somebody wants. For us, we chose RV flushable. And but where we positioned it, we only had a little bit of space, and so our black tank is only 18 gallons, and so that's our Achilles heel of boondocking. So that's the thing that, you know, we don't run out of water, we run out of black tank space.
So where do you go to dump?
All campgrounds you can dump, but we're not usually staying at campgrounds. But if you did, like once in a while we'll stay at a state park, then we'll just dump on the way out. Yeah, and then Love's, you can dump at Love's truck stops for $10. I don't know across the country if that's.
There are apps.
There are apps.
Apps that tell you where you can dump, and you can like get people's reviews on. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm like stepping on your toes. Oh my God, you're absolutely right.
I have a few different apps. So we don't have a black tank anymore, which we went compost because we did the black tank for 3 years, and we hated having to always find a place to dump, especially when we had 3 adults living in it full time. We would have to go every like 2 days, and it would just throw us off our schedule a lot because we travel at a very fast pace. But these apps are super helpful. Like you can filter it so that they just show you like only dump stations. There's one called All Stays Camp and RV, and I have used it for 7 years, and it's amazing. It shows you like where any dump station is, where you can fill up water, Cracker Barrels that you are allowed to stay overnight at, Walmarts you're allowed to stay overnight at, all kinds of stuff. But you can't dump at a Cracker Barrel. Don't do that. We know someone who dumped her composting toilet at a Cracker Barrel, but you can't do it with. Don't do it with a black tank. That was not me. It was not me. So.
Anybody else want to share? New question?
Oh, and I do want to say about the community thing. After living in an RV for 3 years, we did not make a single RVer friend. We stayed at campgrounds all the time, and we would try to kind of like make friends with people, and they were usually pretty friendly, but there's not much of like a community of like, we want to hang out or anything. They don't have like a lot of RV meetups unless you're in Quartzsite, Arizona in January. That is a thing that happens. But with the Skoolie thing, we went to our first festival in Florida almost 2 years ago, and it was like, we went from not knowing anybody in this community to knowing everybody. Yes, it was in the Villages. That was our first one. And we met people that we'd been following for years and then traveled around the country with them for months. And it was just like, it was amazing. And we just meet up with them all over the place and travel together and help each other out.
You guys work from home?
We're musicians full time. So we've been musicians for 10 years, and then we just were able to take it on the road. So the music funds the traveling, and the traveling facilitates the music. So yes, that was us at 1 o'clock.
That's a good
Find
question.
Arbor Season on Spotify.
Anyone want to say what they do for work? We know Carla. Yeah. So you guys been working with people for work?
Yeah. Thanks. Like sunshine. Yeah, I like to create, so I just create upcycle stuff I find along the way, create art. Yeah. Like what we have right now, this is kind of what I do for a living right now. We used to work like a big corporate, not big, but like a lot of money corporate job, but what they would quit because it didn't feel good. But it was enough money to put into the bus, like make sure everything is running, and we got 2 new radiators, I don't know why, but all the stuff like in the beginning, and then we quit, and then COVID happened, and then we're like, okay, time to do something we really like doing. So I doubled down on arts. My husband does like kind of like performance art, so that's what we're doing right now. We set up peace gardens along the country, so wherever we are, places like these, we set up a peace garden. Here we are more, helping a little bit with the entrance and doing stuff like that, but normally we set up the peace garden, tea and hookah lounge, children corner, and that's the entertainment budget, often for teens. So so making it work. Yeah, it's fun. You'll get creative.
Yes, you do.
I do teletherapy, so I see patients over the computer, and I see kids. also do consulting for therapy, and then we do bus consulting. So if somebody wants to build their own bus, we'll consult with them over Zoom and help them with ideas and measurements. I know we should work together, Carla. That's right. Yes. And so, not yet, but I'm going right over there. Yes. And then we do the bus building, but that's when we're home, so that's not travel work. But when we're on the road, we are able to do bus painting, so we offer exterior bus painting. Eric brings his sprayer on board, and yes, and we set up a mobile spray painting booth. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so that's spread the word. It's new. It's not new to us, but the mobile part is new that we love to offer. That's perfect. Let's talk after the show. In Carla's tiny house.
So we're not traveling around. We are stationary and where we've legalized our tiny house now. But I do work from home. I am a national spokesperson for the Tiny House Alliance USA, so I do travel and do speaking engagements like this. I've authored Trailblazing Tiny, and then every month I have Trailblazing Tiny Tales that gets published on Amazon. When I'm not doing that, I do pyrography and wood construction of small furniture and different types of tiny furniture to fit into tiny spaces. So little wood racks or custom cabinets with secret compartments and cool stuff that I love to build, and that's a lot of fun for me. I want to talk to you. And when I'm not doing that, I run the homestead. So we have 9 chickens and a garden, and we can our food. And I go to farmers markets and sell a lot of my wood burnings and stuff there. My husband does work full time. He commutes to his job and comes home every day. So yeah, so we've made it work. COVID hit, and I left I was in a lot of really bad corporate positions that were really brutal and demeaning, and just didn't want to be that kind of person anymore. And I didn't want to be around people that were those kinds of people anymore. And so I left, and then COVID hit, and I had only planned to take a little bit of time off, and all of a sudden now I've been off of work for about 2 years. But obviously I have several other jobs. So it's like, okay, no more jobs. You got enough, you're done. As long as you're following your path. Right, yeah, be happy with what you do. So even if you don't travel, you can still find a way to work from home, or because our expenses are so low, we don't have to both work full time in the same way that we did before. So that is, and he loves his job and he's very happy with it, and I'm thankful for that because I didn't love my job and I wasn't happy with it. So now I have a chance to do the stuff that I really do love.
Great. It's me again. I have a full-time job, but I'm building my business up. I always had a passion for interior design and fashion design since high school. And so I decided to do a tiny house, and I didn't want to just design locally in Georgia. I wanted to travel and design because that's my passion. So that's why I decided so I can go and make everything beautiful anywhere.
Is there something that you wish you would have known before you started? You may have already kind of answered it, but I don't know.
That's a good question she asked. Is there something that we wish we would have known before we started?
Something that I wish I knew before I started. I wish I would have done it a lot sooner.
There we go.
I wish I had had the confidence or somebody in my life to not wait until I was in my late 30s to do it. I wish I had not been told to go to college and follow the, get your degree and go into an office and do all of this stuff. I wish somebody in my life had told me there was another way. So I would say I wish I had known that, and I waited too long.
Oh, wow. That was deep. Ditto. How do I follow that? No, but that's so true, and I love that passion because there's nothing wrong with the degree, but there's something wrong with the system and how we accumulate debt and how that's okay. And we don't always need a degree. You need a certain degree to be a certain profession, but if that's your dream, then go for it. But I think we push a lot of kids to get a degree just to have a degree. But we're getting
Here we go. Just without giving an alternative.
Right.
There's not another way when
Yeah.
there is, right?
I met my husband, and he doesn't have a university degree. And when I met him, he had a successful business, and he's the dreamer and the gas pedal, and I'm still in the kind of the system thinking of like, no, we need to overanalyze everything for 5 years before we take a step. And so sometimes I wish that I would have, I guess, I don't know, known anything, but I wish that I have a little less of that in me, a little more of the, impulsive gas pedal.
Right.
But we balance each other out. And then anyways,
You guys are literally the same as me.
Really?
100%.
We need to stop traveling and hang out with us more. Or we just need to travel more. We need to convoy. But in a funny way, I wish that I knew how much I peed. And honestly, because you just do it. You don't think of it. You don't measure it. Yeah. And so, if I only knew that we needed a bigger black tank.
That's good info.
No, and I wish I knew that this community existed. We already covered that, but yeah, nothing huge that would have prevented me from doing this.
Yes, detail. I would say the thing that I wish that we had known before getting into this, and I mean, this is optional, but I wish that we had gotten out of debt before we got into this. And it's really hard because when people have student loans and all kinds of things, but don't take out a loan to finish your bus. I mean, you can if you want to, but it when you are on the road and if anything gets dicey and you have bills to pay and you're like all the way across the country, it's a lot. The lower that your bills can be when you're on the road, the freer you are, and you can really enjoy the lifestyle because we've gone through phases in our journey of becoming debt free where like we were hustling and like dead inside because we were just trying to pay all of our bills. So trying to become as debt free as you possibly can and having like a low overhead is like a huge one. And yeah, definitely. But there was another one I was thinking of and I can't remember what it is now. So it must not have been that important. So there you go. Oh, refrigerators. This is like kind of just a really weird specific thing, but our refrigerator was like $500 and it runs on 1.5 amps and it's a full-size refrigerator. Don't buy an RV fridge with propane because we've done that and it exploded. So there you go. Those are my two things, but nothing that would have stopped me.
This is on topic to that, but not on topic to the question at all, but I feel like I want to share. God bless anybody that wants to build their own buses. That is amazing. Zero judgments to however buses are thrown together. I say that with love, not judgment. However, please, we are such huge advocates of propane and electric for sure. Please get a professional to at least look over your work if you don't want to hire it out fully. Oh my gosh, I could cry. Like my stomach's going in knots. There's been so many families that have been hurt or lost their home or both because something blew up. And A, it's such a tragedy. And B, it also worries everybody's friends and family that don't support this lifestyle. But they have to understand that not all buses are built equally. And so I just can't stress it enough to get your build. Yes, get it. Yes, tiny houses for that matter as well. Vans, anything that you're putting dangerous substances into, make sure you have, kitchen and regular fire extinguishers. Make sure you have smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. Yes, thank you. And a propane alarm. Have all 4 of those things. They are different. You don't always smell it like you think you do. Yeah. Right, and so there's my soapbox preaching because it just matters too much. Especially if you're not in your bus, but maybe your animals are, or if nobody's in your bus. And even if you're not full time, that's a lot of money and time and effort and tears that you put into your build to lose. But most importantly, lives and safety. Yes. So true. Yeah. Any other questions?
Are y'all gonna be here tomorrow?
I am here tomorrow. Raise your hand if you're here tomorrow. Yes, we're all here tomorrow. Is now a good time? I feel like she'll be here tomorrow. Is now a good time to tell you our handles, our social media handles?
So my tiny house is Serenita's Tiny Living. That's Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And Tiny House Alliance USA is our website for our nonprofit, and that's on Facebook as well. Trailblazing Tiny is on Amazon and Facebook, and I guess a little bit on TikTok because I dance about it on there.
We are Lopez _around the world, and we have Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We also have our website, studioexpress.art.com. So studioexpress.art and Lopez around the world, and I am the one that receives messages, but my husband is the one that does the happy dance with every like and follow. So you will see his happy dance. Sometimes I post his real life happy dance. Like I said, I'm the shy one, but he absolutely loves it, and I just make his dreams come true.
So our website is jollycommunications.com, and my Instagram is Flying Dutch Bird. That's why I put art in the travels. I have a gap of the last 3 years, but I'm going to update.
We are Arbor Season, so it's like Arbor Day, but Arbor Season, and it's ARBOUR because my husband's Canadian and he likes to make spelling things difficult. But that's our Instagram. We have Facebook and Spotify. We have lots of music on Spotify and Apple and stuff like that. So if you Google Arbor Season, we'll pop up on everything. So you can check it out. We also have CDs and t-shirts and stickers.
I'm sorry, I had to step away because somebody asked me about my business. I do apologize. My website is CARLA's Creative Interior Designs LLC.com, and you can find me on all social media platforms.
Thank you so much for coming and spending time